All right, and we're live. Hello, good sirs. I hope you had a great Saturday so far. I hope you're gonna got plans for an epic weekend. I'm Hector. I'm here with my co-host Gilbert.
Good morning, sirs. Full support for Endeavour News. Full support. Hey, everybody.
Everyone's doing well. If I'll just say on Rumble that they should refresh because Rumble has sometimes the stream doesn't start properly.
Yep.
So
Refresh, everybody.
well, they can't quite hear us if they refresh now, lads.
F5.
Yeah, press F5
F5's in chat.
now. All right, cool. All right, hope everyone's doing well. We've got we don't have too many topics to talk about, but there are some important topics to talk about. The one that everyone's been talking about over the last couple of days have been the police crackdown on the anti-Israel protests that have been going on mostly in American universities. Basically, over the last week, in the lead up to Israel's, planned invasion of the city of Rafah, basically like the last refuge in Gaza at this point in time. Israel's planning to invade it. As I'm sure a lot of you know, they started a bombing campaign there as of the last week or two, and there have
Yep.
been some protests at American universities, and just the response is just absolutely insane. I mean, the people have already pointed this out. Keith Woods made a post that went viral. These people, if people protest against apparent like white privilege, white hatred, anti-white rhetoric or supposed racial grievances towards white people. That's all fine and dandy. The second people start like protesting against Israel and criticizing Israel, it must be like shut down with excessive force.
Yeah, guys in riot gear, full body armor, snipers on rooftops.
Yeah,
People are like, "Are you kidding me?" Trucks, paddy wagons, horses, the works. I mean, yeah, look at this.
yeah, I've got a video here. So
Just like in the Parliament protests.
yeah, so it's just cops basically just assaulting people for
Yeah,
existing while criticizing Israel.
yeah.
So that's apparently their crime.
Not allowed on the land of the free, supposedly. Look at this. It's ridiculous. It's a little girl.
Yeah, they're the Zogbots are assaulting a woman for speaking out against Zog. It's sort
That
of
is so
interesting.
crazy.
Sort of interesting. Like these leftists, as a lot of people have pointed out, leftists usually protest with the system.
Mm,
So when they protest against, I don't know,
yeah.
white privilege or something like that, or
Mm,
Browns need more money. I mean,
yeah.
that's because the system is inherently anti-white. They protest with the system, so there's no repercussions whatsoever. And as
Mm.
soon as they step out of line and actually like protest against Zog, the response is just massively disproportionate. It's actually sort of insane. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't expect any of these leftists to actually wake up because you have to be like sort of, what's the best way to put it? Like delusional to be a leftist in the first place. So I don't
Mm,
think that they'll go, oh, how come when I was protesting against white people, that was all fine and dandy with the police, the establishment, the universities, the media. And now, as soon as we start criticizing Israel, we get assaulted by, uh, like trumped up Zogbots, like looking out to like beat people up, arrest them, do
mm.
whatever, like they were doing for the anti-lockdown protests for literal 2 decades. It's the it's the same response, so it's sort of interesting.
Yeah, it would be great to actually get like a parallel kind of video compilation of like these protests next to the George Floyd.
Oh, I've
Or,
seen it. I'll see if I
yeah,
can find one on Twitter. It's like
yeah.
protesting against whites, protesting against Israel. It's like,
Yeah, yeah, but you're so right. I mean, I wonder if they'll put two and two together because, quite
well,
frankly, these people aren't really able to put much when it comes to, well, putting two and two together.
you
But
have, you have to
yeah,
be like, you have to like not live in reality to be a leftist in the first place. So I don't think
yeah,
so.
mm,
And I don't expect like after the police rough them up, I don't expect there to be too much legal consequence against
yeah,
these people because at the end of the day, the leftists are the useful idiots. So like they
mm,
there's they're Zogbots as much as the police that are beating them up.
Yeah,
So
Zogbots against Zogbots. Yeah, it's
yeah,
yeah. I mean, hopefully though, this event will. It might not be, fully committed leftists who wake up. Maybe some will. Hopefully,
I
some will.
think
I hope
people are.
everybody wakes
People
up.
are because you see the thing, like as people have pointed out, it's like how come when you protest against Israel, this happens? When you protest against supposed, white privilege or white people or what racial grievances against whites, literally nothing happens, and the media's like praises you for it.
Yeah,
So it's sort
I
of crazy. Here's some more. What university was this one at? This first one was at. Uh, doesn't really say.
yeah. I think this was Columbus.
Emory University.
Okay.
So this one's at Emory University. I'm not quite sure where that is.
Ah,
This one is at the. Again, they're not saying. No, not the American University. So it's the same. It's interesting, isn't it? It's the same response from all the Zogbots and all the different states and universities. It's the same brutal crackdown for people talking out against Israel and speaking out against Zog.
yeah, definitely. I mean, hopefully people, maybe it's not leftists, but hopefully apolitical people or conservative right-wing people will see this. People in the middle will notice this and go, wow, what the heck, this is ridiculous. And those people who actually kind of are passive observers or people who can actually think, will recognize this and go, gosh, this really is the sign of our time, and these really are the ones who rule over us. And yeah, to put it in perspective, I mean, this is really a systemic issue. I mean, you think about how the Republicans were holding back aid to Ukraine for 7 months over the fact that they couldn't get any border security. Democrats largely wanted money for the Ukraine and other places, but as soon as it,
It became
Israel was,
bristle as soon as they put it like an extra 10 billion, $12 billion for Israel in that package. It got
yeah,
passed in record speed.
yeah, oh, it snapped
Within
their
days.
fingers.
Yeah, within days. Yeah, it was stuck in limbo for nearly, over half a year. They put in a couple extra $1 billion to Israel in there. Snap of the flick of the wrist.
Hmm.
It's wave of the hand, flick of the wrist. It's passed.
So this is absolutely a governmental, systemic governmental issue as well that we're seeing. And I mean, need we really mention all the other times where we've seen this kind of extreme pro-Israel bias? I mean, we see it all the time. And I mean, even in tech, they banned, TikTok because, oh, this is, getting too anti-Semitic. What do you know?
Yeah,
Children,
and
mm,
again, they were like there'd been anti-white hatred, leftist,
mm,
homosexual propaganda on this platform
oh,
for the last, 5 years, however long TikTok's been around. As
mm,
soon as people start criticizing Israel, oy vey, shut it down, like for real, for real. The goyim, the goyim no, shut it down. It's like became real.
yeah, and this is just kids of America. I mean, you get so many older people saying, things like, or people, criticizing the TikTok generation, saying, oh, they don't know what they're doing, they're not politically involved, all this kind of thing. But these young people are actually expressing their First Amendment right, a lot of them. So,
Well, you can't.
as soon
I
as,
mean, that's the thing. Like, there was a
mm,
scene by the Republican right have been the ones pushing for hate speech laws in the United States.
yeah.
Florida, DeSantis was the first one to do it. Everyone said not much people at the time talked about it, but he was the one that passed these like anti I don't know what you call it, like anti-Semitic speech laws, I guess.
Mm,
So
yeah.
stuff like that. So you can go to, you can be fined, you can be put in prison for 3 months for criticizing Jews in Israel.
Yeah, in Florida and Greg
Hell,
Abbott in
now they're getting
Texas.
pushed. Yeah, now it's being pushed in North Dakota with Naomi.
Yeah, Christy
What's
Nome
yeah, Christy Nome, not yeah, and I think Florida's pushing it as well. But I mean, Florida's they're
DeSantis. Yeah.
well, that's not Republicans there. It's
Hmm.
Democrats there. But it was the Republicans that first did this. They were the first ones pushing hate speech laws, and in Texas they pushed the what is it, the anti boycott, divest, sanction laws as
Hmm.
well. So if you say you're going to boycott Israel,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
can't get a job in the public sector, which is just absolutely insane. It's like, oh, you're going to boycott a foreign country and now you can't work in the public sector of the state of Texas. It's just ridiculous.
Tells them to, Netanyahu literally directly tells them via phone line, divest from, this so-called anti-Semitism, divest, stop BDS, stop all this stuff that's happening that is detrimental to Israel, and that they do it at the snap of their fingers. And that these kids or these people on TikTok and people in general, be they on or off elsewhere on social media, expressing their First Amendment right to, they don't want to bomb innocent people in Palestine, that they're all anti-Semitic. And they say that, oh, this is the Chinese, this
You
is the
have the
Chinese.
completely, you have a completely I mean, yeah, like, I mean, yeah, okay, I get it. A lot of people are going to say, "Oh, these are like cringe leftists." It's like we know that,
Mm,
but it's like it's not illegal to say maybe Israel shouldn't bomb, like, shouldn't completely genocide Gaza. Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not that unreasonable that
Oh, yeah.
people are going to protest that. It doesn't matter if they're leftists or not.
Nobody wants that. Yeah, nobody, apart from some people, apparently want this and are okay with this, because there's a lot of people who. I mean, this is the most obvious genocide that's ever happened in history, as far as I can tell. And there are people who, just do not want to admit it, or they, cheer it on or something like that. It's really terrible. But yeah, I mean. Yeah, I mean, another thing, like, these people will never support us. I mean, remember, these people are anti-white, but it doesn't mean that because, they're doing this, that the Jews are our friends, and it doesn't mean that because these leftists are pushing this very issue very hard right now, that they're our friends, but at all, they are anti-white. But still, this is like a watershed moment, really. I mean, this is the issue that everybody really needs to get behind, and because this is the Zionist issue is the issue of all issues. This very issue is the root of all,
All the other
so
issues like mass
much,
migration,
everything.
usury,
It
financial
all leads
collapse,
back to
globalism.
Zionism and
Yeah.
Jewish power. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All of that. Everything you said, and much, much,
Oh,
much
but
more.
yeah, that's just the
Yeah.
start of it.
Oh, that's just a start. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I mean, insofar as they're doing this, and it is a very good thing, I absolutely support them. And, maybe this is how it has to be, that people have to get hurt, that they're maybe, and I hate to talk like this, but that there has to be some injuries, some suffering for people to really go, oh my goodness, we can't go down this path anymore, where we're creating such evil in the world, and causing so many fractures, and world security and world peace. So I really hope that people, and from this, people need to realize, we really do need to make a parallel movement to all of this, because this just insanity cannot continue. Where, I mean, this is the sort of stuff that Americans are supposed to be made of, and Western people in general. They're not supposed to. They're supposed to push through these kind of tyrannical regimes that so lord over them. But yeah, I mean, could this be I mean, if you think about it, all this has happened so quickly. I think this really kicked off. I mean, you had, Mark Collette, Nick Fuentes, and all these people, all kinds of voices talking about this big problem, which is facing all of mankind, quite frankly. But I think it really kicked off when Kanye West started talking about it, and then since then we've had, let's see, we've had Candace Owens, we've had who else? We've had a lot of people. Really,
Again, it's like Kanye was sort of retarded at the end. He's like a schizoid,
yeah. Oh,
eccentric black man. But it's sort of like
mm.
again, he's he was right even though he's stupid.
Yeah, yeah, stupid. Yeah, 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 exactly. But honestly, anybody, you don't actually need to be too smart to see any of this. You just need to have a pair of eyes and ears, and you're kind of good to go. You don't really. I mean, it's all out there. But yeah, him saying that as a celebrity, I think was, and as a celebrity that
This
everybody
this
really
is
loved.
this is like a normal response from a like this is the average Jewish response. But Josh Hammer,
Yeah,
Jewish contributor to
the
uh,
Daily Wire.
yeah, the Daily Wire or something like that.
Okay.
Former university professor, I believe.
Mm.
Um, It's
What is
like
he?
these campus jihads are at best blithering morons. At worst, they're a subversive fifth column future 9/11 plot. It's like they're already accusing people of literally just like standing around criticizing Israel of being terrorists.
Yeah, I heard they were even saying that this was like an Iran-backed coup, which is oh, these are just college students who, this is gone to a
Yeah, they
fever
see
pitch.
something. Yeah, there's college students. They see like the completely messed up stuff happening
Mm,
happening in Israel and Gaza right now, and they do some protests, and
yeah.
the response has just been absolutely immense. It's like this is what
Mm,
happens. Leftists are finding out what happens when you actually protest against the system instead of with the
yeah.
system.
Yeah. There it is. There it is. So, yeah. And I mean, all these people, Gad said, Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, all these kinds of people, they know. A lot of people have been saying, these people just don't understand like what the problem is. They're just not aware. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly who they are. They know exactly where they stand, and they are pushing this kind of this is exactly what they want to happen. So I mean, people need to understand that the Zionists and white people have completely different motives.
It's
That they
I'm seeing a lot. Yeah, it's literally the same rhetoric you saw as the anti-lockdown protests. They were calling like people that were at the anti-lockdown protests or didn't get the vaccine. They were calling them like terrorists. They were calling them like again like blithering morons, like all
yeah.
sorts.
Oh God. Yeah.
Saying they're genocidal. It's literally the same language. I mean, they sort of the playbook is exactly the same. They're calling people that were against the lockdowns. They call them morons, terrorists, idiots, or whatever. And they're
Mm.
doing the exact same language for these people that protest Israel.
Yeah. All for saying, and these people aren't even saying things like, oh, like a Jewish people suck, or are I hate maybe we're on YouTube, so I shouldn't even say that as an example, but you know. They're not even saying stuff like that, right? Like just being mean to Jewish people. They're just saying stuff like, this is a terrorist regime. This is, innocent people are getting slaughtered. This is all they're saying, and that I could see no better exemplification of this than you saw, Hector, that Jewish woman who walks out into the middle of that
Yeah,
Palestinian.
nothing
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, nothing happened. She literally had Jew painted on the front of her shirt with a star of
I was like,
Moloch
to be
on the
fair, if you
back.
look at that woman, you probably could have told she was a Jew without the big, painted star.
Yeah, that face is kind of like horse-like or something. But yeah, anyway, yeah, and nobody was like, huh? And nobody even looked at her, you know. And I mean that's just the perfect exemplification of it's like, yeah, we don't care that you're Jewish, you know. This isn't the, I mean, to leftists, but the point is that. It's not we're not obsessed. We're not focused on Jewish people. It's that these groups are doing things, these Jewish groups are doing things that are harming us, and we do not like it. Do not do this. We are not happy with this, as any normal person does when there's something out there that's hurting them. And but if you don't like it and you protest against it, you're an anti-Semite, no matter how rationally you try and argue your case. So yeah, this is just what it is, and hopefully this is a really is an inflection point, a watershed moment in people's understanding, and it feels like a lot has been happening to finally get to this point. We just hope it continues before things get really bad in the world, because this is actually really quite serious. Yeah, yeah,
And then it's
but.
like,
Mm.
did this Josh Hammer fella, did he say like anything even close to this when universities were putting out rhetoric like, oh, whiteness should be abolished?
None of them did. Yeah.
White people need to give every brown person $1 million in reparation.
Oh boy.
Give back our stolen land, all that sort of thing. It's like, oh, white people evil, that sort
Mm.
of thing.
Yeah.
Again, there would have
Kill
been,
Whitey. Yeah.
kill like literally kill Whitey, kill the boa, that sort of thing. It's like, did you hear anything like that from Josh Hammer?
Yeah.
I sort of doubt it.
I mean, yeah, there are a lot of like black, liberal Marxist people who are literally calling for that, like a South African genocide style themed thing. So yeah, this is no, none of them did that. None of them mentioned that.
I'll turn the volume down on that.
It's all right. There we go. Putin, Trudeau, Boris Johnson, Obongo,
Yeah, Cruz. Yeah,
Zelensky,
there's DeSantis.
Clinton, Macron.
Really makes you think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jews agenda.
Luxon hasn't done that yet, has he? Oh, it's actually sort of surprising. There actually isn't that much Israeli Zog like political influence in New Zealand because I think like we were so small that like the Zionists sort of ignored us.
Yeah, yeah. Although you do even get there are data points that show that they're even here as far across the world here. You do get like there was that Mossad spy ring and Christchurch, I believe, that was exposed from
Well, you
the
got
earthquake.
yeah, you do have like Juliet Moses. You do have those people, but the amount of
Mm.
influence Juliet Moses has compared to like APAC
Oh,
in
Juliet Moses, she was involved in the Israeli spy ring.
oh no, she wasn't involved with the spying, but she's like
Uh,
a pro Israel shill.
oh, sure, yeah, yeah. So yeah, there's even that, and the protests, the people that came out to support Israel amidst this genocide is just incredible. It's wild. I didn't think that you know there would be so many supporters of them, especially in this country. But apparently, amongst the Jewish community, I assume that's where they're all from. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It was amazing. Mm.
Juliet Moses is the spokesperson for the New Zealand Jewish Council, and they're always seething.
Juliet
Yeah,
Moses,
and
yeah.
the New Zealand Jewish Council and Juliet Moses are always seething about people criticizing Israel and that. But in terms of like real political influence, it's actually sort of interesting that even compared to like Australia, New Zealand is sort of minimal, which is
Mm.
sort of unique in the Anglo-speaking world.
It is interesting, yeah, yeah, and hopefully
Hopefully it
it
stays
stays
that
there.
way, but
Yeah,
Juliet Moses is trying to change that.
yeah, but she's doing her best. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's trying to change that. Yeah, and in America, it's the worst. Like, literally have like Biden begging Bibi Netanyahu, saying, "Oh, please don't bomb Rafah and Gaza and Syria."
Please,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, please no. And
Real
then
pathetic stuff. It's like,
oh, weak, totally weak. And then when he goes ahead and says, "No, I'm going to do it. Give us all these billions of dollars for these missiles and things like that." All Biden says is, "Man, that guy's a real asshole." You know that's like that's
it's like
all
you're
he
the
has to do.
president of the United States. So it's like it's just pathetic, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, do something, man. So, and then the Republicans, they talk big game about free speech and they talk tough, but then when it comes to Israel, they completely just are on their hands and knees, just at the flick of a switch, you know. And I mean, Republicans are fronting. It's all a big front. It's all a big lie. There's only one group of people they serve, and it's not the American people. It's almost anything but the American people. It's all these mega donors. It's first it's Israel. It's Israel first for the Republicans and for the Democrats, and then it's everybody else in the world that is behind that, and then maybe it's Americans, maybe or maybe it's brown people and Mexicans next. You know,
Yeah, well,
then
it's like
they
white
come.
people
Yeah,
last. I mean,
like
that's
white
because
people. Yeah. Mm,
I mean, the entire system is systematically anti-white, and it has been
mm,
basically for half a century.
and that's because these Zionist powers really see Europeans as well, very very much in their way, and you can go back to the very roots of it all, proto communism, Kalergi, I forget what the book is called, and in German I think it was. Um, I, I'll have to look at what Kalergi's book was called, but yeah, I mean this has its deep roots, and again, this is why. I mean, thing in New Zealand, right? I mean, Republicans are fronting, and the Democrats are openly communist, and in New Zealand, it's kind of the same thing, even though it's not two party. You have Labour Greens who are openly communist, and then you have Nats and Act who are they talk a big game, they talk tough, but not really actually. Uh, you know, they they're willing to they don't really care about their country. They're willing to sell it off in any way
Well,
they
yeah,
see
exactly.
fit.
I mean, don't get us wrong. There might not be as much Israeli influence in New Zealand, but the politicians here are just as bad as they are everywhere else. I mean,
Mm-mm.
the reason there isn't that much Israeli influence here is because the Zionists haven't even really bothered. So
Yeah, yeah, but it kind of almost doesn't really matter. I mean, the same sort of toxic Zionist ideology and its exploits have spread to New Zealand, and we're experiencing the same thing as every other Western country.
yeah, well,
But
speaking of
yeah,
what every Western country is experiencing, there's been Zogbots attacking people in Ireland as well. There was a demonstration in Newtown, Mount Kenny, which is a like rural town in Ireland where they're planning to build like a refugee centre. So the locals came out, they protested against such a refugee centre being built, and honestly, the response from like the Zogbots is just pretty much worse. It's even worse than what people did for speaking out against Israel at university because these aren't leftists, so they aren't going to be treated, light-handedly like the leftists will be. So
mm,
this is what happens when people protest against the system in a different way. When again they, as you were saying, they protest against the Kalergi plan and
mm,
other similar ideas and events. Right.
mm.
I don't know why Twitter's so loud today. I'll put it down slightly.
Yeah, the woman.
Look, again, literally, it's every time. Like the Zogbots cause all this violence at these protests, and then they accuse the
Wow.
protesters of being violence, even though the police literally just charged into these people that were protesting against a refugee center being built in their town.
Wow.
And then again, the media will be like, "Oh, these right-wing evil people, they're all violent," even though the police, like the only violence police can solve is ones they've started themselves.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
Then you got
They
this
said
fag here, just like pepper spraying everybody.
it's a kid.
Like
Yeah,
disgraceful behavior.
yeah. Irish citizens, and these are
And this they
Irish.
just spray sprayed that guy for just recording. So just
Wow.
absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah. Wow. Isn't that incredible?
It's nuts.
Man.
I think this was before, so this is as the protests were starting. So they were protesting against a refugee center being built and refugees being shipped into the like rural. Look at that, like scenic rural town. Oh, let's
Mm,
just bring in a bunch of Browns and like Africans and
mm,
other
mm.
other other words that I probably shouldn't say on YouTube into this nice little Irish town. It's not just that, like the Zogbots are completely out of control in Ireland. They apparently like followed one of these protesters home. Right,
mm,
wait, let me get it
mm.
full screen.
That's incredible. Oh, have you got that tab open for me?
Oh, sorry, the stream can see it, but you can't. I'll just play it
Oh,
again.
oh yes, sweet.
So you got a Zogbot following this lady.
You're the coward! Fuck you, you fucking run! You oh, my fucking eyes! Ah!
Yeah, so they just spray paint this lady for like walking. Like you have
Yeah,
Zogbots following this lady that was apparently at the protest. Like it's unsure if
that's
she even
amazing.
was. It's
Harassment.
actually like completely disgraceful behavior by the Irish police. These people deserve to be in prison. Like
Yeah, they
when
deserve
people
to be
like
sent to Africa
yeah,
in prison.
when
Yeah,
people like us are in charge of, New Zealand and Ireland, these Zogbots are going straight to prison and they're going to be put in the same prison as the gang members. Like
yeah,
they're going to be put in the same gang only prisons. So
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
what they deserve and worse. It's just completely disgraceful what's going on in Ireland.
yeah. Where is the standing up for the law? But anyway, that's how it is. So be wary of your police people. Don't trust them because if you work for the blue, you work for the Jew. Um,
That's a good one.
yeah, well, but it's true, right? Yeah, it is
Yeah.
so good. Yeah.
But yeah, just completely like complete mask off moment for the police in Ireland. It's nuts.
Mm.
It's absolute disgrace.
It's a bad time to be a police officer these days. I mean, just taking so many L's. So,
Well,
oh,
I mean, the thing is though, it's like if you're still a cop after the lockdowns, I mean, you're obviously just like a thug. You're like
mm,
you're a literal Zogbot. You're a literal robot for the system and globalism.
yeah,
Zogbot. You're literally the definition of a Zogbot. So
uh, absolutely. Yeah, literal Stasi like level Zogbot is what they all are, oppressing the native populations of New Zealand, Ireland, and wherever else in the world.
Yeah.
They just don't care. So,
Well, those were sort of the international topics I had planned. We got a couple New Zealand-centric topics, so this episode is probably going to be a small one. I mean, like I said, there's not too much going on right now, not too much news stories, but the ones that are happening are very important. Like just the system going complete mask off, like we've said in the past. Liberalism has a crisis of legitimacy. So
mm,
as we see in Ireland, as we see in America, anything that sort of criticizes or goes against, Zionism, globalism, liberalism, will just be met with a more and more violent, repressive response, and it's going to keep getting worse and worse until the system's changed, basically.
mm. And we need people. That's exactly why we need people to get involved in the system, so that we can change a system, and we can actually all resist without just there being protests. We can actually change things from the inside, and you can do that. That your life has to be about that. If you don't like something, if something doesn't go well with you, speak up about it. Make a fuss about it, and do it in your own way. I do that all the time. I know plenty of people who do that. Don't be complacent or complicit, and don't just go
Don't be
along to
don't be
get along.
timid. Yeah, don't be like a
Yeah,
timid.
don't be timid. Exactly. Yeah, just you have to make a fuss, and this is why we're here at this point. To be honest, I think.
Yeah, and like as we saw last week with even if it's like silly people doing it, like Tamaki, you know, he's
Yeah.
an eccentric guy. He's a bit silly when it comes to obviously when it comes to like Israel and whatever, does huckers for Israel. It's like pretty cringe stuff there. But at the same time, it's like he's been able to successfully shut down these, homosexual pedophile meetups in libraries. So it's
Mm,
pretty good there. So you can't really disagree with that. All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So here's just a couple New Zealand topics because we might as well, we have a New Zealand flag in our thumbnail. We might as well talk about New Zealand a little bit. So Kiwis are slapped with the world's second largest tax hike. New Zealand faces the second largest raise in taxes in the developed world last year, says the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, so the OECD. This is mostly because, with how our tax works, you've got the rates, right? So there's the first rate, which I believe was about 10% for the first 13 grand you make, and then it's 25 for the next 35 grand you make, and then it's 30 until you make 70 grand, and then above that it's 33%. So these tax brackets were put in place in about 2012. So when you think about inflation, back then the average New Zealander was making probably about $45,000, but now because of inflation, people have been being pushed higher and higher into the next tax bracket. So now the average New Zealander is probably making about $70,000, even though that money's worth what $40,000 was 10 years ago when these brackets were put in place. So as inflation's happened, yeah, the money that you need to actually buy goods is going less and less further because more and more of it's getting taxed because of taxation by stealth via inflation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. People better be aware of how this is happening, because this is really taking quite a sinister turn, as we'll soon find out. And people better get their finances in order. Start thinking about this really seriously, because this is going to be one of the ways in which the WEF reckons that they will enslave and destroy New Zealand and New Zealanders.
Yeah, and this is sort of why the government like pushes issues that actually increase inflation, like mass migration and whatnot, that increases the cost of housing. Because at the end of the day, as inflation goes up, they get to keep more and more of your money. The money
Mm.
goes less and less far, and the government's taking more and more of it. So that's sort of one of the reasons why, the Labour government and whatnot, Greens, all these other people, probably even like factions within Labour, within National and ACT, push for push for these policies that increase inflation because it benefits them in government.
No, certainly, yeah. This is their main modus operandi, really.
But yeah, so I mean Chris Hipkins talking, not Chris Hipkins, Christopher Luxon is talking about how he's going to reduce taxes, but honestly, it's not enough. I mean, taxes need to be sort of in line to where they were when these tax brackets were set up. So
Mm,
the tax brackets probably need to be adjusted by 50%, so that
mm,
you're paying the same amount as tax you were back in 2012 when these tax brackets were put in place.
mm,
So
mm.
and that would be like a massive reduction in the amount of tax the average Kiwi pays. You'll have more money in your wallet, but at the same time you'll have to get rid of some of the bloat within the public sector, which obviously the National and ACT Party and New Zealand First sort of have, but it's obviously not going far enough. They need to get rid of these useless ministries. They need to get rid of the bloat, make just make these departments more efficient. It's
Mm.
just ridiculous the amount of bloat in the public sector, and it really does need to change.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And yeah, that's what's keeping us from really having a more economically prosperous life. And yeah, it needs to be cut right down. I mean, I would like to one day see a 1% tax. It's absolutely ridiculous that someone earning 70,000, what, 25% tax rate? That's ridiculous. And then with the inflation, I mean, how is anybody supposed to live?
No
I
one
mean,
can live off not like you can't live off $70,000 anymore. It's not 2010.
Yeah, exactly. And hence why there's this mass exodus to Australia from New Zealand, because at least you can kind of live over there and actually have a
Well, it's
pretty
getting
good
worse
life.
in Australia. It's actually sort of amazing
Yeah.
how Australia's gone downhill in the last like 32 years.
Oh, absolutely.
They're sort of catching up to the same crap level that we're at.
Yeah.
Sort of
Oh,
a
no.
sad decline.
And it doesn't have to be that way, but Christopher Luxon and all these people, David Seymour, people think when they hear them say, "Oh, we're going to lower taxes," they think, "Okay, they've heard our complaints, they're going to get onto it, we're going to get some major tax relief," and they finally understood that, right? Wrong. Just like the Republicans, they are putting on a front, so it's only going to be like a 5% decrease compared to Labor's 25%, if we're lucky, down to about 20%, which is just simply not enough at all. There needs to be drastic decreases, and as Hector said, that requires all this bloat in the public sector and just these major changes in the economy to be made. And yeah, cut off all the fat in the public sector and just completely change it to a NZ based economy, where we are actually producing for ourselves. And, among many other things, I can't list them all, of course. But
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
like you said, the National Party's not going to do it. They're far too in bed with the system, so you can't expect any meaningful change from the National Party, especially.
Who can trust any of these people? And I really want to hammer this point with you. We can't obviously you can't trust Labour Greens. You certainly can't trust Nat's Act. So really, it's kind of just New Zealand first there, guys. And if we remember back to the election, it really was Winston Peters that was actually, it was David Seymour and Luxon trying to pull the tug of war rope towards their, globo homo dystopian gay empire. And then Winston was saying, no, if you, we're pulling it back to, well, New Zealand first strategy. And that's what
Yeah,
we saw in the bill. So, I mean, to me, it's just so clear. We need to go down the NZ for that. That's what I'll say. Hector may, or some people may disagree, but there's no perfect choice, guys. I understand. There's no super, you know, awesome person who's completely perfect, who's gonna do everything right. But this is the. I'm saying this is the best option we have. Yeah, Brian Tamaki's not perfect either, but this is still something that's workable, that something that can help. And I mean, to me, it's clear that it's NZ first, and we need to keep these people in particular aloft as much as we can. So I would recommend that people
yeah.
support them.
I
Yeah.
mean, NZ First is far from perfect, but I mean, they're obviously the best,
Oh yeah.
the best choice that's actually in Parliament right now, like by far.
Mm, mm.
So
Oh, certainly.
yeah, I'll
Mm,
just say that. But
mm.
yeah, we'll see what happens there. Like
Nothing's perfect. Nothing's perfect. We all have to just go. where things are the best, but you've got to make a decision. Yeah. Sorry, go
So
ahead,
here we
Hector.
go. Here's the last story I have, unless something comes up.
Yeah.
This is from the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. Why we're looking into digital cash. Digital cash will give you more choices in making payments, giving everyone access to the central bank money. What are your thoughts on the digital cash? Oh, do you want to read some of this, Gil? I've been reading
Oh,
the last bits,
sure.
so you can read some of this if you want.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll read. Okay. The way New Zealanders pay for things is changing. Actually, should I use a different voice? The way New Zealanders pay for
Yeah,
things is
sure.
changing. Do you want me to do it in this voice, Hector?
Maybe if you do that voice too long, it might grate too
Just
many
tell me when to
ears.
stop.
Yeah.
We know that being able to use cash is still important for many New Zealanders, but we also know that the way Goyim pay is changing. Our economy is becoming more digital. Digital payments make it easier and quicker to buy the things we want. To keep up with the changing times, we're looking at the possibility of issuing digital cash. It's getting a bit tiring myself. Digital cash is in addition to physical cash. Digital cash will be issued by us. It would give New Zealanders the choice of using digital cash or using your regular bank accounts, cards, cash, or however you make your payments. Digital cash isn't a new concept. Every day, billions of New Zealand dollars issued and backed by us already flows behind the scenes between commercial banks and other big institutions. This happens digitally on a super resilient electronic platform we called the Exchange Settlement Account System. Digital cash will be easy to access and use and private, so
Oh,
they
I
say.
doubt that. I doubt the
Yeah,
privacy
highly
part.
doubt. Oh yeah, yeah. No doubt it'll be easy, and unless you're a racist, anti-Semite, bigot, anti-pedophile. But if you aren't, then yeah, I'm sure it will be easy to access and use. Um, we want everyone to have access to digital cash, even if they don't have a bank account. Wait, what? We want
So
everyone.
I,
Yeah,
I don't really get how that's going to work. So apparently you're going to have like I guess it will be sort of like a crypto wallet, but except like obviously not crypto, where you could have a wallet, you could have a digital wallet that you put cash in, but it's not a bank account. I don't really get it.
yeah, that's yeah. I did. Yeah, okay.
And
Well, Hector.
obviously it's not going to be private. They're going to be able to track every transaction you make. Like, come on, it's delusional.
Yeah, yeah. Like banknotes, you could use digital cash when the power is out or the internet is down. If you want, you'll be able to use a physical card to access your digital cash and on devices like your phone or watch. You could use digital cash whoops, to buy things in shops, online, or send money to friends and what now? Instantly. Like banknotes and coins, digital cash would work with current payment options and you can switch between the two. It will also be private. We won't be able to see or
Oh,
control how
come
you
on.
spend your money.
Come on, get
Yeah,
real. Why'd they even say that?
yeah,
It's obviously not
that's
true.
yeah, that sounds like a big load of baloney. And yeah,
Well,
this is just lies. Yeah.
Brady Sally Israel said, "What's the difference between digital cash and the debit card?" Well, you don't have the middleman of the bank, so it's literally just via the Reserve Bank. You don't have like the public banks, I guess you'd call it. So
Yeah.
it's basically like, oh, you don't want to use a bank account here, use digital cash instead of actual cash. So
Mm,
because actual cash can't be traced, while digital cash can. I mean, you've
mm.
probably read enough. So what is your thoughts on the Reserve Bank issuing digital cash via? Oh, here we go. They're using stable coins. They're going to issue their
Oh,
own stable coin.
huh. Stablecoins, crypto assets, decentralized finance are these new technologies and forms of electronic money are emerging.
I bet you
Digital
60. I
cash.
bet you
Yeah.
$66 billion. The link didn't even work. Okay, never mind. I was going to say there's 0% chance they're going to mention Monero.
Yeah, 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 yeah. They'll mention stable coins. Yeah.
But the link didn't even work. It's like, come on, Reserve Bank of New Zealand, your link doesn't even work.
So what are they saying about this? Digital cash can take advantage of new innovative features like smart contracts. These allow you to automate a payments or do things like keeping totals of expenses. This gives you greater control over your money. Digital cash could also
What?
boost.
What?
Yeah,
What?
I don't really. Yeah.
Why do you need a smart contract to keep track of your money? You can just count your money and count how much you're spending. What is it? What are you talking about?
Sounds like a Jew contract, to be honest. Kidding. Just jokes. So yeah, digital cash could also boost competition in New Zealand's payment landscape by supporting new types of money and payment services from the private sector. New Zealand will have choice of who they use to access their digital
Yeah.
cash services.
So just from what
Yeah.
we've read, it seems like they're putting out their own sort of like New Zealand dollar stablecoin or something, which is
Mm,
it's sort of weird.
mm,
Obviously backed by the Reserve Bank. I
mm,
assume as they make it, as they do, like when they actually make real money, as they put it, even though it's all digital anyway. It's got to be backed by debt, so it's going to be like issued via bonds. They're not just going to make it out of nothing. So,
mm.
um, yeah, so you're going to have your debt-based stablecoin. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, looking at everything we've seen over the years with it's Mark Collette's friend. What's her name? Not Laura Towler. The young girl who was working for him that her husband put out the White Lives Matter or It's Okay to Be White posters around the
Is it?
UK.
I thought that was Laura Towler.
Was that her? I think it was someone who looks like her, but her husband went to jail for it,
Yeah, that
and
was
we're
Sam
her.
Melita. Although maybe not
Oh, that
Laura
was right.
Tower, because they have a
Oh,
different last name. Unless I don't know.
oh, okay. Um, yeah, I think yeah, okay. Yeah, but he went to prison, and obviously the lockdown. She got her bank account froze, so she was
Yeah,
reliant on Mark Colette's community, and then you have the Canadian lockdowns where they actually froze all those people
unbelievable,
I didn't
hey.
even know they had that capability. I don't even know how they managed to do that really, but that's really incredible, incredibly dystopian, and
Well, now they're going to not be able to just close your bank account. They're going to be able to close your digital uh, cash wallet. So
mm, it's basically what they're actually saying. You can cut all this crap out, and basically, it's all this page is saying is give us more control over your money and over
yeah,
your life, basically, and give up and let us enslave you. But they're putting it in such a way. This is how the technocrats. I mean, what was it? New Zealand. What was our fan greatest ally? Israel, yeah, he was, who's going to be controlling it or something like that. He commented, it's like, yeah, it's going to be up to the AI and the technocrats,
it's like this is just
and
a complete lie. Decentralized finance. It's controlled by the Reserve Bank. How's that decentralized?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's totally yeah. So I mean, it's just a one big lie. I mean, and the Reserve Bank is intimately tied to the government of New Zealand, which is basically people's enemy. If we've looked at the lockdowns, we looked at the cookie dough injection, we look at all these things, the mass migration, the
Yeah.
inflation, all of
Imagine
it.
this.
I mean,
Imagine they go, "Oh, you can't access your digital wallet anymore until you get vaccinated." Or, like they
yeah.
will do stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, do not fall for these systems. And this is exactly what Hector and I say when we say, in life, you're going to have to kick up a fuss, and maybe you'll have, to move to another house or apartment. Maybe you'll
Yeah,
lose your
yeah.
job and you'll have
Change
to
jobs.
contest that. Hector and I are no stranger to that. We willingly and gladly did that, but we need people like you to all do the same and spread that message of that message of liberty, real liberty and real freedom. So otherwise, I mean, Hector and I can't do this, or even just a group of people. Like we need all New Zealanders. We need a significant contingent of New Zealanders to have these thoughts, ruminating in their heads, and that's where you guys come in. That's where Hector and I we do this show, and then we bestow this task onto you to spread to your families, and we hope that you issue that message to everybody else around you, with hopefully engaging them toward the same motivations as we're relaying to you now. But yeah, I mean this is this is obviously a ploy. This is such like a glowy psyop. Like you
Oh, it's
can't get
private.
any.
Yeah, it's private. It's decentralized. Trust us. Like, just complete lies. It's like, why would you
It's
even
just
bother putting this here?
it's almost like a meme, like a
Yeah.
CIA glowy, yeah, glow in the dark Negro. It's yeah, kind of ridiculous, but they are absolutely key. I mean, they've wanted to do this for a while, for several years, and yeah, this is just not. We're already seeing it in places like Canada and America, where they have people can scan their like palm microchip through a scanner, and it's just
Well,
disgusting.
imagine
But
it's like you say like the N word and you get like a $50 fine from your digital wallet.
yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah, and that's what they'd like. That's literally, I mean, because they want to create this compliant slave race, right? I mean, this is where all this is going, you know. So we can't we just cannot comply anymore, everybody, because this is just going to end up nowhere good. You know, we have to resist, and how do you do that? Well, you have to get involved in the system. The system is lording its power over us, so we need to pull it back and lord it over them. You know, and you can get into law, and you can get into all kinds of fields that are, you know, you can become a scholar, a knowledgeable person, a businessman, someone knowledgeable in finance and law, and all kinds of stuff to contribute to our movement. You know, and that's really the best thing that can happen. Otherwise, this is just going to continue to develop, and it's going to enslave us all. So we really need to be making the most of our lives in a way that is actually effective. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is what I'll
Uh,
say.
yeah,
Yeah.
Brucey says a couple things in chat. He says digital cash is programmable, i.e., you've bought enough stake this week, you now get 100% increase in GST. Or things that's like people who say the right thing on social media get a 2% discount on fuel. So yeah, exactly. It's all about control.
Just like in China, they've already rolled out the same thing there, and you can't do anything in China, or Russia for that matter. I mean, Russia is going full bore towards this. The party there, the one party system, and there's nothing to that's stopping them, because you can't criticize the government in Russia or in China. Otherwise, bad things happen to you, and
Yep.
you get
Unsurprisingly, China was the first one to do this.
yeah, yeah, not surprisingly, right? Yeah. And yeah, oh boy, it's just like we do not want to be like this, everybody. We cannot be just compliant. We cannot be complicit in this anymore. We really need to rev the gears of freedom up in our turbo engines and really just living and breathing resistance to this terrible, terrible thing that is falling upon us. So yeah, like I can't stress that enough. I'm probably gonna Hector and I are gonna stress this every show, because it's just so important that people understand this, that this has to be our life's work in all our lives, you know. And we all have to contribute to this. But yeah, it'd be a terrible, terrible. I mean, it's already kind of that way in New Zealand. I mean, we're beginning to look more and more like China and Russia, and you know, the lack of freedoms that we have, and that we can't, you know, say what we honestly think about certain subjects. And you know, as such, you know, both Key and Ardern were very, very. I mean, you remember, Hector? They were very chummy with, you know, Xi Jinping and the Communist Party. That they were very close to them, and behaving in a really chummy manner. And you know, John Key was very close to the Chinese.
Oh yeah,
He was
ridiculously close.
So I mean, this is us being kind of sold out by our government, and they don't care. They
Well,
don't
I
give a
mean, our
crap.
former Prime Minister Jenny Shipley ended up working for the what is it, the Bank of China in New Zealand. They were she was the spokesperson. So, really makes you think. How did she end up getting that job right after,
Really?
right
Yeah,
after she lost the election?
yeah, yeah. And also, you know, Helen Clark and Ardern herself, but both going off to work for the UN. You know, and the UN is a known sort of I mean, there's a very strong motive towards communism and close links to the WEF and Davos, all these institutions that are really central in enslaving the people of Europe and people across the Anglosphere and the West at large. So this is how it is. This is what's going on. Yeah, what to do? What to do? But we just got to keep uh, pursuing a state of dissidence, because this will never be good enough. And honestly, permanent dissidence, because we are so, our government is so thoroughly penetrated by people like this. I mean, you think about the Greens, you think about Labour. How is this going to get better anytime soon? This will probably be something that we have to pursue for the rest of our lives. But yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. They would love to, and what we're going to rely on the police or other
Well, I mean,
people above
as
law
we've seen
to,
as the
yeah,
first half of the show, you can't rely on the police, can you? Because they're the premier Zogbots.
yeah,
They're the system stooges.
yeah. So we need to yeah, be against all that. This is all this is. And yeah, I mean, if things get really bad, like with war and immigration, um, changing the voting bloc, giving them the pretext to uh, radically change our laws in times of crisis, like what Ardern did, and everybody just capitulates, then I mean, they could do anything. I mean, they've shown that it is largely the case that they can take your guns and take your bank account away, and restrict your speech and restrict you as a human being. That they have shown that that is possible, and that they're quite effective and willing to do that. Even though it's against human rights and natural law, and it's antichrist and all these things, and it's against common sense. But so I mean, this is what it is. There's a I don't know. There's a little link I just sent you about Andrew Tate being a
How do we want to color Andrew Tate again? The guy's just a
yeah,
retard. All
yeah.
right, what did Andrew Tate say this time?
You can open it up. It's a video,
Guys, let me
but
tell you
I
all,
just thought this, it was
newsflash.
so
If you
retarded.
eat
He's
right
basically
and you
saying
train
that
hard, you look good.
in order
Yeah.
to,
It's like a biological certainty.
let's hear what he
It's
says.
almost impossible to be fat and look
It's fed
bad
though.
if you eat right
Yeah.
and train hard. Your body will
Somalian
react
head.
and give you exactly what you want. So why don't you all look like superheroes? Do you not understand how intimidating that is to something like the Matrix when they look at a group of people and they
Matrix.
all look like superheroes and they can tell they're all disciplined, all hardworking, all dedicated, all physically strong?
Maybe this is why
That
they hate the
changes
NSN so
entire
much.
angle of attack for their psyop. They sit and go, it's going to be harder to psyop this group of men than it would be if we psyoped all these soy boys, bunch of pussies who are afraid of everything.
You mean 90% of everyone everywhere now?
Your body should be a symbol of resistance in and of itself.
That's silly. That's
The struggle is what's beautiful about it.
that
That's the
that
most
yeah.
important thing. That's what you have to understand.
So he
It's
sort of
so-
takes like a good concept and just like makes it retarded.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like obviously,
Yeah,
I
because,
think
guys, let me tell
being
you all-
healthy is like like the establishment does not want you to be healthy, right? I mean, a healthy populace is a populace that could rise up against you. But I mean, he said, oh, if you look like a Marvel superhero, then that's actually kind of a soy thing to say. If you look like a Marvel superhero, that's what the Matrix fears.
like Thor.
Yeah, and he uses these like broad terms. Oh, he'll never say Zog or Israel or
Yeah, the Matrix.
the communist
yeah, that
agenda.
crap.
Yeah,
Like
he
meaningless.
said,
Meaningless. Like what the hell is like? What is this?
what's the Matrix? Yeah, what is that? You mean the movie, or
Yeah.
like it's yeah. So he would use these broader concepts, and like it's a good thing to be healthy, and I'm glad that people really like this culture of fitness and stuff like that. But that is not what the establishment and not what Zog fears. I'll tell you what the system and Zog and the communists fear.
I mean, just
They
look
fear
here. This is what they fear. They fear like white people speaking up against the government.
Yeah, yeah, that's right, that's right. And even more, white people who know the law, who know their rights, who are intelligent and moral and well read, and understand how things work in the real world, who understand business and finances, and have skills where they can do real things that are actually very useful and very helpful to themselves and other people. And these kinds of things that actually make you a strong person in real life, and it's like being fit or jacked, like, yeah, it's a good thing. Like, everybody should be, everybody should be healthy, everybody should exercise and stuff like that. But that's not like, George Soros isn't going to look at your six pack or your biceps and feel fear. It's not that it doesn't work like that. He's going to look at people who have all those skills and knowledge that I mentioned, and are moral and highly intelligent, and here's the next part: when they group together and organize together and unify to strike back against the establishment, that's when that's scary to people like George Soros and Netanyahu and Putin and Biden and whoever else. That's what scares them. Intelligent, moral, white Christian people who know the law, know business, help each other, have big families, and they organize together and help each other out, and use that to say, no, we're not letting you go ahead with this digital currency agenda. We're not letting you go ahead with the lockdowns. Actually, nah, we're not voting for you anymore. We're going to vote for NZ first. We're going to make our own parallel economy, our own, parallel society to this horrible thing you're developing, and we will bury your satanic system, and we will rout you, and we will totally envelop you, and we will be the ones that conquer and are free, and make our own destiny, not you, not Zog, not communists. And that's what they fear. That is the real fear. But saying that, if you're fit or something, or you're jacked or whatever, that's like what a child thinks, that's just silly. Or what someone in college, oh, if I'm gonna be the biggest, it's just. And this is the thing, these this guy is a disinformation agent. That's He's not putting young men on the right path. If you had men who are actually telling them, get an education at a community college or uni, or do an online course, or something, or whatever, or get skills, or get a business, and this is how we can set up our own parallel economy, and we can organize, and just like what Mark Collette is doing, or even what Fuentes is doing in his own way. He's having his AFPAC, and who else is in Ireland? You're kind of getting something like this. So yeah, this is kind of sort of the stuff that you need to see. And yeah, Andrew Tate is a disinformation agent, I'm sure, and there's all these people who are trying to lead young men astray. It is what it is.
Well,
But people should be healthy.
there was actually, I mean, yeah, obviously people should be healthy. I mean, that's the thing. You got like the hint of
But
truth
that's
there.
basic. That's simple.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, there are a lot of people who are healthy, and are they scared? No, like we need people who are
Well,
onto it. Anyway,
it's a thing. Like Zogbots want to like shut down anti-immigration protests and not shutting down like the local gym. So
yeah,
just think of
yeah,
it like that.
yeah,
Uh,
and think what skills are needed that are useful for such movements. People who know the law, and even people who know how to document information, like video editing, or graphic design. That's useful stuff as well. But yeah, sorry, Hector, go ahead.
oh no, no. I mean, you basically said it. I mean, the Brucey in chat says the fact that people think this is some kind of wise man with the groundbreaking ideas is just
Oh,
sad. He sounds like a 14-year-old boy.
you said it I mean, Brucey really said it right there. I mean, I would be so embarrassed to be an Andrew Tate supporter who actually takes someone like that seriously. That would be embarrassing to me. I would feel very silly at this point. That, but I mean, yeah, I think people. I guess at a quick glance are kind of realizing that this is just a bandwagon, that's going on, the Andrew Tate bandwagon, and that this is really nothing. I mean, if you actually listen to what he says, he's not really suggesting anything original or unique. Like it's just like rehashed, basic Alex Jones talking points
Oh, it's
that
like the
we.
Golden One said this like 10 years ago, and he's also talked about how
Yeah.
we need to like remove like browns from our society at the same time.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's already said that, and he's provided a case for that, and yeah, that's fine. But yeah, it's just like fitness advice, hustling women, cigars, and fast cars. And how does that help at all?
Yeah.
How does that help our cause at all? It's got nothing to do with it. And was his father involved with the CIA?
Oh, I don't remember. I think we were meant to look into that, but then we ended up not not looking into
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but I'm pretty sure his father was. Yeah, maybe I'll just do a quick search. But
Brucey in chat says they shut
yeah.
down the NSN gym, but that makes more of a point for you. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're not shutting down the local city fitness. They shut down. They try to shut down pro-white organizations, people that actually speak out against the system. So
Yeah, Andrew Tate was mentioned his father's involvement with the CI on several occasions. According to various sources, his father, Emery Andrew Tate the First, was an attorney and held the record for the fastest assimilation of a foreign language while working for the CIA. Andrew Tate has spoken about his father's influence on his life and has mentioned that his father was a massive influence on him. So there you go. That is very significant. So let's see. Um, learn Spanish. He was, yeah, honors program. Okay, so that we'll have to probably look CIA agent and a linguist. Emery Andrew Tate was a CIA agent and a linguist known for his exceptional language skills, being able to pick up languages in a matter of weeks. He spoke Russian, Spanish, German fluently. Additionally, he held the CIA record for the fastest assimilation of a foreign language. Okay, so he's a
yeah,
bit of
yeah.
an autist, maybe, but
His dad, unironically, sounds way smarter than Andrew Tate.
yeah. Well, how did his sons get so dumb? Yeah, what the hell is up with that? You'd think, yeah, that's weird. I don't know how that happens,
Yeah,
but
Brucey in
anyway.
chat says his dad knew all these languages, but Tate can barely speak any English. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Like, maybe their mum like drank alcohol while they were in the womb or something. Who knows? Fetal alcohol
Yeah.
syndrome. I mean, the head sort of makes him look like it.
Yeah, weird. Yeah. And his dad has a Krusty the Clown haircut in some photos. This is okay, so anyway, yeah, too bad his sons were too low IQ, but yeah,
I
interesting.
mean,
So that is
his dad sounds like a Zogbot, but he at least sounds like an intelligent Zogbot. He's like one of the
yeah,
higher level Zogbots.
true. Yeah. I mean we'll continue, and he's a chess player, so yeah, he is actually quite a quite a intelligent person, but yeah, interesting. But yeah, we'll continue to look in that United States Armed Forces Chess Championship. He won that 5 times apparently.
Yeah, it's
Um,
obviously a pretty smart guy.
yeah. Extraterrestrial. Yeah. Anyway, interesting guy. So yeah, but of course, as we all know, the fact that he was involved in the CIA is very significant. That is very significant, and that should certainly be passed on to the Tates in terms of our suspicion, especially in terms of our suspicion as nationalists, European nationalists, right? That we should be doubly suspicious of the Tate brothers, and of course, uh, his message is shit. So his message is crap. So that's every CIA agent or people affiliated with them have a message that's not fully there, that's not completely all the way there, and so that's what we're dealing with these people. So I mean, we've all got to just be careful of people like this who are lying to us, and we actually have to make real adults of ourselves, not live this 14-year-old childish playboy mansion lifestyle. Like if you're serious about saving your race, you're serious about fighting against the trannies and the communists and Zog, then you actually have to take your life seriously and you know become a skilled businessman, or own your own business, or get a education, or if it's too expensive, go to community college, or become, disseminate propaganda for us, that's effective, and do something with your life that will help our cause as a people, because these enemies of ours, they are so hateful that they are concentrated on destroying the very genome of the European people, the very genetic map of white people, and eradicating their heritage completely. So this is how much they hate us.
Brucey in chat says he once had a goldfish that looked like Tate. So if we look at Tate here, so there's Tate, and here's a goldfish. So yeah, it's pretty much like you'd think they're like twins.
Yeah, it such is the mind of one. Yeah, I mean, friggin' hell. That's I would trust the fish more than the Tate.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I'd trust the fish to be more intelligent.
Yeah, well, the
But
fish.
it's obviously a big brain fish.
Yeah.
His brain's poking out.
He's obviously got a bigger brain. Yeah, that's yeah, something. Yeah, someone should do like a Andrew Tate fish Photoshop. That would
It's
be
not
good.
very. Yeah, it would be pretty easy to do. All right. Well, I mean that's sort of all I had planned for today. We've been going for about just over an hour, so it's probably a bit of a shorter one, but that's all right. Hope everyone's. Anything else you wanted to say before we sign off, Gil?
No, just keep going hard against the establishment, and keep trying to survive, and grow yourself spiritually in Christ Jesus, and keep spreading this message, and keep awakening souls, to this great fight that we have, and yeah, keep being awesome, guys.
Yeah, well said, well said. Thanks for everyone for tuning in, and as always, stay blessed, not stressed. Hope you have a great weekend, and we will see you next time. Have a good one.